Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Just let me know if you can hear me. And yeah, apologies in advance, but I've been ill the last few days. Even getting content out has been pretty tricky, but yeah, sorry about that in advance. All right, so we're expecting some city leaks today, if I'm being honest. Does that change my lineup dramatically? I don't think so. Maybe there's a world where like Anderson comes in if we find out Foden's benched, or I sell Foden immediately. But yeah, I kind of think, yeah, we might have to just take Foden off, etc. I'm kind of hoping Foden's out, but then the problem is I actually really wanted to go in Bubo, right? So the tricky thing for me was, I mean, can I really go in Bumo versus Arsenal and then just play maybe Anderson over him? That's plausible. Um, but yeah, Phil Foden's caused me a lot of pain, so if you see me go towards the side, that's just me dealing with my sickness. But yeah, sorry about that. All right, let's just jump into some questions in chat. Verdos, start Cunha or Anderson. I think Anderson for sure. Do you think Foden subs today? I mean, I kind of think that Foden is probably coming off the bench. Just reading all the predicted lineups, it seems like most people don't have Foden in them. I also think performance-wise, it's kind of justified to not have Foden play. Who should I start between Rogers, Reynildo, and Krupi? Probably Rogers, I would say. Is Foden starting or should I start Cherky? I almost think Cherky's going to start over Foden, but that could be completely wrong. The usual caveats are we don't have any authoritative sources on leaks who have posted today, right? Like Main Road, I don't think has posted. I don't think he even will post with the suggestion that he requires £100 per leak, if that makes sense. Um, let's see. I mean, the implication is that there is something massive happening with City, with how much the usual leakers have been involved with this. Anish, thank you so much for your super chat. Kelleher, Timber, Gabriel, Chalaba, Semenyo, Rogers, Bruno F, Enzo, Rice, Holland, Tiago. Okay, so you bench Mukiele. Fair enough if you prefer Chalaba. Yeah, I mean, I like this team. No complaints, really. I think that's the best team you can play. Good luck, my friend. Going to Njai could make sense. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. And I haven't really thought about that myself, but yeah, I guess I could go Njai this week. Because then I can just go and Boomo next week from Sobo, right? Or something like that. So that's not a bad idea at all. But is there any alternative play that I could actually make that would be quite good? I do hope we get City Leaks. I agree 100%. FPL Main Road's tweet implies one of the big boys are benched. 100%. I think that's probably Foden at this point. But I don't think Haaland is out of the question. Tavernier to Lefay also have Foden and Cherky. I mean, I just think maybe if you've got Foden and Cherky, you probably still want to be using one free transfer for Foden next week. I guess there's a world where Cherky and like if you own Cherky and Foden, like one of them will continue starting, right? Maybe yeah, you could do the Lefay move, and then next week, if you can go Bruno from that move, like from Foden next week, then I think you're fine. But just try to keep an open eye towards Bruno. Suchok HD, thank you so much for the super chat. Joe, nice to see you around, my friend. Joe Diego, if you had Thiago plus Holland, would you captain Thiago? I think I'd only really captain Thiago if we got the leak that Holland's benched, but that's a pretty sound idea though. Start one, Elliot Anderson, Sobo, Dorgu, Mukiele. I kind of think that I would just play Sobo here, or Elliot Anderson if you think he's got pen share now. I think Mukiele is solid, but I'd probably still prefer an attacker personally. Would you start Cherky and Foden? If not, I should sell No Money in the Bank. I'd probably wait for a leak and try and sell one of the two coming out of the leak. I'd probably sell Foden before Cherky, if I'm actually honest with you. G'day from Melbourne. Nice to see you. Nice to see you around as well. Morning, Fran. Really loving your content recently. One question I made: who would you start out of Anderson and Wilson? I'd probably just go Wilson. I mean, this is still a Wilson home game. I don't think we can really say Anderson is like 100% pen share. I also think that ultimately Wilson's got a lot more value from just the open play piece and set piece. So yeah, I'd go Wilson. Shaq needs a Konate replacement. I think it's possible Konate could start. By the way, are you 100% certain on having to replace Konate? Oh, you've already got Bruno Suchak. Yeah, sorry about that. I guess the tricky thing is like if you let's say if you can't go Bruno, right? Is there a point to actually make a move this week? There might not be, right? There might not be. Krupi out, João Pedro in. I don't really like that as a move, to be honest, especially since it's Crystal Palace away. And also, as we're starting to see like a lot more Delap minutes, I'm not really fond of that move. As good as Chelsea's run is. Like also, I mean, Bournemouth's run, it gets to get pretty good soon. So bench one, Cunha, Mukiele, Szoboszlai, probably Cunha in that situation. Foden to Palmer is actually a really solid move as well. Yep. God, I can't do that move in one free transfer, so that's kind of why I have to postpone it a week. That's tricky. That's very tricky. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably Foden to Palmer next week. Is the way that I see it. Would you play Cho over O'Reilly? I'd probably play O'Reilly. I kind of think he starts. Thoughts on Semenyo captain? I quite like it, to be honest, because you can't really guarantee that Haaland will start. You can't really guarantee that Foden will start. So why not just go Semenyo? Any news on Gakpo? I'm pretty sure Liverpool are unchanged from maybe like their Champions League lineup potentially. So I think Gakpo's benched. I think Focal actually has a good hand on Liverpool stuff. So maybe would be nice to just check out, his stream and see what he said about Liverpool. I don't think he's actually tweeted anything. But I'm fairly certain he's already kind of mentioned what he thinks the Liverpool lineup will be, which I think had Gakpo benched. Yeah. Focal said Gakpo's benched. Where do I get leaks from? I don't actually personally get leaks. I mean, there's just a couple leakers on Twitter that we know, and then people are sleepy on Mbappe. Interesting on FPL chat. Hello, my goat. We got any leaks so far? I think just like Liverpool leaks, to be honest. Yeah, unchanged from Champions League lineup for Liverpool. Which, to be fair, actually, going back to one of the questions previously raised about Konate, that means that Konate is going to be out of the lineup, right? So for the person who's selling Konate, I think I'd sell Konate then. Sorry about that. I guess if you're selling Konate this week and you want to buy someone, I don't really mind you just going straight towards Arsenal defense. At the same time, I think, Tarkowski's right there. Like, who's actually got a good fixture this week? I think you had mentioned Hall as well. I mean, Hall actually sounds pretty solid. But the thing is, Newcastle's next 4 games are kind of mediocre. Well, I'd say 3 out of 4, right? Brentford at home is pretty good. Who would you sell Gakpo for, Fran? God, it's tricky. Like, I don't want my default answer to be Mbumo for everything. So Enzo probably. Like Enzo's one of the more interesting picks to me. Would that make sense? And Jai as well. Enzo and Jai, those two. Kelleher, Pickford for my draft team. I'd probably say Kelleher. It's kind of tricky though, because I think Pickford's been so good, but I don't know. Kelleher better penalty stopper. When do you plan on wildcarding? Probably around game week 32. So we've got 35 minutes to get a City League, which is Foden replacement. I think once again, like go Bruno if you can. Um, Otherwise, go down to an Enzo, go down to an Njai, and then just make sure that you're leaving room for Bruno the next week, right? Is generally what I would say. Excuse me, sorry. It's been a rough week. Narva 11, thank you so much for the super chat. Start for Bruggen / Dubravka. So I think Verbruggen has. Does Brighton actually play? Why is my memory so cooked? Fulham, right? Away. Yeah. Okay. So Verbruggen versus Fulham away. Dubravka versus Tottenham at home. And Foden, Van Hector. I mean, to be honest, I still think maybe like half a game of Foden is better than Van Heck. So I probably would actually just keep him. I'd probably just have. I'd rather start Shaw over Foden, but I'm not. Like I have to be completely honest today. Like I do not know the City Leagues. I do not have the City Leagues. I do think Foden's potentially benched. I just think I've got a pretty weak team. I'd probably still start Foden in that situation. Cho is probably marginally better than Maya Anderson. So if that kind of helps with your decision making, I don't know if that matters, right? Like maybe you'd have Cho starting over Foden potentially. As far as like the general question on, let's say, whether you play Verbrugge and Dubravka, I actually kind of think I would actually play Dubravka just because he tends to make some more saves per game, and actually the clean sheet odds are very, very similar. Plus, they're backing the home match, so I'd probably just do that. -4 Foden to Palmer. I don't think it's worth a -4. I mean, technically, I could do the -4 as well, right? It's just it's. I think Palmer is still on such a tightrope, right? Like you want the information from the midweek of this week coming out of game week 23. So if you think about it, right, Chelsea will have to play Napoli away from home, and if they lose to Napoli away from home, which I think is quite plausible, just because home and away advantage, all that kind of stuff, and Napoli going full strength because they need to stay in the Champions League. Uh, that tricky piece for me is that Chelsea suddenly will have two more fixtures on their fixture run, which actually kind of worsens Palmer's appeal for me. I'd rather wait for next week to go for Palmer and probably just save the -4. Not to mention that Crystal Palace away is kind of a mediocre fixture as well. Should I buy Lafayette to replace Tavernier? I think that's totally fine. No worries, Jack. Start Krupi or Cunha Dorgu. I'd probably actually start Dorgu in that situation. Just because, like, he's a pretty elite pick if he starts as an attacker, and I think he probably will. What do you think of Nunez? Bench him? I kind of think Nunez is like, because his kind of issue is like the flu, right? So either he starts. I can't really see Nunez coming off the bench. I could be wrong though. KDH and like Anderson's really the only player who could actually like start over Nunez. I'd probably still start Nunez over him. You're really tempted to captain Ekitike Fares. We played good against Marseille. Yeah, Ekitike's always been a brilliant player. I mean, I'm quite happy to have him. Um, but captaincy wise, I don't know if Haaland's benched, right? I mean, I guess if you knew Haaland was benched, then it would make a lot more sense. Um, Best captain's not Holland. Yeah, I mean, Thiago's right there as well. And so is like DK. Even Saka arguably should start this game and actually be a pretty good captain. Victor Johansson, thank you so much for the super chat. Start to Alderete. Sorry, I'm literally trying to look for leaks, but I can't find any. You've got Rogers starting. Okay, I see. So you don't really want to naturally, play. I mean, play Alderete. Go for it. You make any transfers today? Honestly, the only reason why I don't really like the Foden to Semenyo move, to be honest, actually. My problem is if I go Semenyo. God, Foden to Semenyo could actually be on the cards for me. Because, I mean, Semenyo is guaranteed to play 90. Guarantee. If anyone's watched Charles Barkley. My only problem is Foden actually better than, let's say, is Semenyo better than... Like, are we saying Semenyo is actually 100% nailed long term? Like, I just can't justify that, right? Like, Savinho's already coming back. You've got Marmoush on the left for depth. It's very hard to justify Semenyo being like a 78-minute player or something like that. That would be like the threshold that I would actually need to justify a Semenyo move. Not to mention that if I'm going to wildcard 32, replacing a City player with a City player is actually a long-term negative because you're suddenly going to have, I will get rid of O'Reilly, right? But I will have triple Arsenal and double City, which means that I'll have 5 blankers. So I can't really justify Semenyo, unfortunately. That's why I don't think Semenyo makes sense as a move. And I think that's the problem. If you're looking short term, of course, Foden to Semenyo is the move 100%. But actually, if you look long term, I think that's the problem with Semenyo, right? The fixtures actually get pretty poor after this, and you're inevitably going to get a blanker on game week 31. So, can you really justify that as being a good move? I don't think so. And let's say if I was to compare Semenyo to Mbumo to Enzo, I think I still prefer the likes of the rest. So I'm just gonna wait for those 2 free transfers to come, and then I'll take Foden out of my team. As bad as it is for me today. Play Anderson or Cho, I'd probably play Cho personally. Unless, of course, like Anderson to Cho is close enough to a 50-50 where you should just choose a move. Semenyo is only confirmed for this week, right? For 90 minutes. Like, he is going to get registered for the Champions League coming out of this fixture. So he won't play in the match versus Galatasaray at home. But, I mean, Man City are still involved in the Champions League. And Semenyo will be registered after this match. So, exactly. You kind of need to focus on medium to long term. I do think Mbumo is just better, right? Start Cherki or Foden. I'd probably start Cherki at this point. Play Croupier, make a transfer. Oh, that's a tough one. So far, I think Haaland's starting. I don't think Haaland being benched is such a big leak. I'm surprised that we haven't been hit with that leak yet. But I know there's people who have been saying stuff. Like, people have been saying stuff about, there being lots of like lineups with Marmoush in it, and that's plausible, but yeah. Hi, Fran. Yeah, sent my starting side in Discord. Yeah, let's have a look at Discord, actually. I do think tricky starts in your situation. Once again, as I said, I don't think Foden to Semenyo makes any sense. You can't do Foden to Semenyo anyways because you're quadrupled up on City, so I'm not sure what you... Oh, but you want to do a double move? I don't think that's really worth it. I think I'll just have Cherky. I personally think you can take Foden out and roll the rest. Um, I don't think it's abysmal to suddenly just go Foden to Bruno, if I'm honest. I don't think taking Cherky out makes too much sense, though. Kim's lineup. Um, I do think Nico Riley plays more than 60 minutes. That was one of the Discord questions. Someone said if we get a leak that Bruno G doesn't start, okay to take him for a hit to Njai. Kashif, I think your team's kind of in a similar spot where I'd probably just take Foden out if you really wanted to, but you've got 2 free transfers to make. You know, like, God, with a team like that, I'd probably just roll. Like, I know it sounds depressing, but you're going to have Gabriel, Tarkowski, Guecki, so that's 3 great players. You even have Alderete there as a good auto sub for Bruno G. So, like, you just play 3-4-3, in my personal opinion, where you have, let's say, Cherky, Bruno G, Rice, Anderson, Holland, Thiago, Ekitike, Gabriel, Tarkowski, Guecki. Your first bench is either going to be Foden or Alderete, and that's it. I think you're fine. Yeah. All right. Can we buy Gakpo? No, you can't because he's benched, my friend. Uh, Hey, Fran, would you bench boost? Team is Sanchez, Muke, Collins, Gabriel, Timber, Enzo, Bruno F, Rice, Wilson, Thiago, Holland, bench, Pickford, Garner, D. Okay, so that's, yeah, 100% a bench boost. I mean, you're kind of bench, like, your bench is kind of like pitting, I guess, like Leeds versus Everton, but why not? I mean, if Everton actually get a good result from there and they're at home, I think you're good. There's no news on Bruno G in terms of whether he actually starts. Likes up people. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you very much. Palmer captain. Versus Crystal Palace away, I'm not sure if that makes sense. I think Njai has to start, especially with Grealish sort of being gone. Um, I mean, the thing is, Njai's match fit, right? Like, what would stop him from actually starting? I think that would make no sense if Moyes was suddenly gonna, you know, take him off the bench or something like that. Do I think Haaland starts? I think he does, but I can't be right. Yeah, I mean, I still don't see a single City leak, which is annoying. Ooh, okay. The FPL Citizens account has said Foden is benched. Hmm. Has anyone actually been following the FPL Citizens account? So that's Citizen and then 2 S's. The problem with this account is I have blocked this account previously, but then suddenly people end up being, having good information, etc., etc. Um, and I think the problem with that is like, I don't know. Has anyone been following him whether he's been right the last few weeks? I don't think he's reliable. I don't trust that guy. But he has been consistently posting, and I've noticed that his follower count has gone up. So I just think, is it possible? I can't really go Skillerman, to be honest. I just think Everton's fixture run is kind of mediocre. after this game. Like, Skillerman is really not that good, if I have to be completely honest. Is that a hot take? It could be a hot take. I just think Brighton away, Fulham away, you know, the Chelsea games, they don't scream amazing to me. I do love Skillerman, but yeah, I mean, I find it difficult to actually just move into him, especially if I could just go Mbeumo with my own team like next week. I'd much rather own Mbeumo over Skillerman, basically. Is the way that I see it up until at least like game week 29, and then I can maybe, I don't know, pivot elsewhere or whatever. Captain Turkey or Bruno? I mean, I'd probably do Turkey. He played ahead of Ismail Sarr and Afcon. What, Njai? No, Njai's a great player. It doesn't mean that he's like the most prolific player, though. And I think his underlines do kind of bear that out, despite having pens. Bench Cho Mukiele, probably Cho. City Leagues have been kind of awful this season, but at the same time, like, have we needed City Leagues? Because they've kind of been obvious. Like, I feel like the weeks where Nico O'Reilly's been benched, like, we all know this. Munoz and Sarr get a start for Chelsea, so that's quite nice for Crystal Palace. Nice little boost there. Yeah, I know it's kind of hard for me to justify actually just going out of Foden, but maybe, like, maybe in a real world I could just bench Foden up if I find out that he's benched. City down to 2.36 projected goals since this morning's update was something from Rob T. I mean, to me, that sounds like a Haaland benching, right? Do the markets know something that I don't? Okay, that's annoying. Wait, I need to check my sell value on Foden. Okay. To be fair, I can tank one more price drop from Foden, so that's fine. O'Reilly's already dropped beyond my purchase price, so that's annoying. I mean, he can't drop too much more, can he, surely? I'm probably one of the last owners. Hopefully Lefebvre rises in the future, but even that seems like a lost cause. All right, let me just quickly look at super chats. Avi Chal Jane, thank you so much for the super chat. I couldn't see your message though, so I will look out for a message. Blue 9Gs, bench 2, O'Reilly, Enzo, Lefebvre, Saliba, Raul. Okay, so Raul actually has a good home game. Bruh. Honestly, I think you could justify benching O'Reilly just because. Lefebvre versus Enzo is an interesting one because I do think Palmer starts, but that means no pens for Enzo. So I'd probably actually start Lefebvre over. I'd probably start Lefebvre over Enzo, and I'd probably start Saliba over them, and I'd probably have Raul as well. So I'd probably bench O'Reilly and Enzo. Is the way that I'd work around there. It's kind of close though between Enzo. I mean the Enzos, let's just say. So I think you just choose your Enzo. Maybe Saliba could be benched, but I guess I'm thinking you're gonna play more double Arsenal defense anyways. Yeah, I mean arguably you could just bench the two defenders if you really could, like O'Reilly and Saliba as well. But there is like a sort of benefit to, let's say, playing double Arsenal defense or triple Arsenal defense as well, which I'm kind of cognizant you probably will have. FPL DV8 says, hello Ronaldo, please help start 3 of Foden, Saka, Garner, Wilson, Sabo. Probably Saka for sure, Wilson for sure. At that rate, I'd probably have Sabo, so those 3. Would you sell Tap this week, and who's a suggested replacement of same price, nothing in the bank? Man, I mean, I'd probably reference towards my own cheat sheet in terms of the 5.5 price range, but I think, I think Garner is kind of there. I kind of think you can just go for Lefebvre, though. That latest piece of Rob T news is not great. I really don't know what's gonna happen with the City lineups, which is just annoying, to be honest. Do you guys think Haaland's benched? Serious question. Hassan, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, Fran. Start Bruno G or Wilson or Enzo? I think Wilson's the one that I would start out of all three, personally. I mean, Wilson's probably the strongest pick as it stands. You know, he has a home game. He's got no doubts. His minutes will probably be guaranteed to at least be like 85 minutes. Tangentially mean. I mean, like, it's kind of like in a way that, like, slightly related, I think is I'd say, is what that means. The problem is FPL Citizens is not necessarily guaranteed. No Haaland start. Who said Haaland start? Mr. Feather, I wouldn't say FPL Citizens is actually guaranteed. The good thing is Foden and Haaland at least have a high ownership. It is true. Will Dewsbury Hall be in the squad? I don't think so. It'll be Foden or Haaland. I just don't think Foden drives the markets that much down, though. Why O'Reilly over Anderson? Just because I think O'Reilly actually starts. But I could be wrong. I mean, there's a justification for me to actually play Anderson over Foden. But of course, it would look so stupid if Foden actually played. However, the Citizens guys, the best we have. Man, that doesn't really say much, though. Like, I could be just saying random stuff, and that could be the best that we have, right, surely? Ballard? Start O'Reilly, Alderete, Thaw. I'd probably do O'Reilly this week. Just chance it on Wolves at home. Pick two, Gordon Rogers and Harry Wilson. Probably Gordon and Wilson. You think Foden gets benched? I think it's pretty likely. Like, regardless of whether it's Citizens or not, I think Foden bench was actually just very likely, you know? Oh, Avichal as well. Your question was Van der Ven or Gabriel? I'd definitely play Gabriel for sure. I mean, one of the things with Gabriel is just everyone owns him, so it's just a difficult situation where if you just bench Gabriel, I think you're standing to lose quite a lot, especially if people are gonna back, you know, one or two Arsenal defense, that kind of thing. Pope or Dubravka to start? Probably Pope, to be honest. Wild thought Anderson or Bruno F. Anderson DC more likely. But the thing is, are you still gonna get Bruno F the week after this? Like, I'd go Bruno F anyways. But if you're talking about just like starting for this week, maybe just go Anderson. Yeah, I don't mind that. Bookie XG of City dropped. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So it kind of that to me implies this. But also, like, maybe Haaland benching is actually even more ludicrous than that, right? Maybe it is a Foden benching. Who knows? Uh, has anyone tweeted? Oh my God, Lazy FPL's just dropped the leak. The Lazy FPL, Haaland and Foden are not starting. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Okay. That's a head scratcher right there. Okay. I mean, Okay, what is that? 45 minutes of Holland then? So, okay, that's crazy. Yeah, I would go Foden to Bruno for sure. That is a bombshell and a half. Sheesh. Do I Saka captain though? I think 45 minutes of Holland are good enough to be in my starting XI. 35 minutes of Foden probably won't be. Lazy FPL is definitely trusted. Definitely trusted. Definitely trusted. Okay. Maybe vice this guy. Maybe bench this guy. Yeah, I'll just share the exact tweet. It literally is as simple as it is. That is the tweet. That is the tweet. Goodness gracious. Wow. I think for people who have Thiago, like that's the captain. Do you know what I mean? That is the captain right there. God, how bad has Foden been recently? Yeah, I'm trying to change my lineup now, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could justify Holland to Watkins, but does it make too much sense? Kind of hard to say. I don't really think Holland to Watkins is worth it, though. What says Holland gets 45? There's nothing that says Holland gets 45, to be honest. But I think it's plausible. -4 U to Thiago captain and Holland on bench. I don't mind that, to be honest. Order of importance is selling. Well, Foden's definitely highest importance, then Gordon, then Sobo, then Keane. Just because, like, surely you have 4 other defenders. Might just do Foden to Njai. That's a solid move. Wow, what a week, what a week. Foden to Palmer actually is a great move. If you can afford that, I would probably do that. I just wouldn't really take hits for it, though. They will both enter and score. I mean, one of them will probably enter and score. God, this is something. Foden's going to drop tonight as well, if that matters. You know, the weird thing is actually because City also have to prioritize the next Champions League game because it's quite important for them to get top 8. Should I sell Foden with no money in the bank, and who are the best replacements? I mean, you can go Njai, you can go Enzo. I think those are the ones. Like Semenyo, I kind of get it, but I'm not in love with Semenyo, if I'm honest, just because there will be a blank in the future for City, and I think that kind of hurts your move. In theory, I would like Njai. Do I think Haaland is better than Krupi? All right, I'm gonna save this team. Probably Saka captain. Because I would like to see Palmer play. I'd like to see what happens to Chelsea. I can tank this Foden price drop. Although he'll probably drop twice, but like how fast will he drop twice? Maybe not fast enough for me to care, hopefully. Maybe Krupi over Foden, bench order. Oh, this is so depressing. I think that's the best order that I have. Buy Semenyo, I don't really love it. No impulsive transfers. No, not today. I don't really like any moves that I have. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think this is the best team that I have on paper. Starting a bench Haaland's kind of painful, but it is what I'm gonna do. Because I think if Krupi Jr. gets 17 minutes again, basically that's the question between like Haaland, like I don't know, 35 minutes of Haaland. Like what if Marmoush just plays bad, right? I don't know. I'm not sure how many minutes of Haaland do I need, basically. Bench Haaland for Anderson or Gravenberg. Yeah, I'd probably bench Haaland for Anderson for sure. O'Reilly probably should play. Thiago captain, I think, is great. Should I buy Saka versus players like you, captain? No, I don't think you have to buy Saka, but then if you're going to sell Foden, you might as well do it. Captain Saka or Palmer, I'd probably do Saka, to be honest, over Palmer. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, Haaland can't be that bad to not play minutes, right? Like, he's been poor, but Cherky starts. O'Reilly benched. Who said O'Reilly benched? Okay, Christ. Where are the leaks coming from right now? I mean, no one's really said O'Reilly's benched. Wait. This is so bad. I'm just gonna hope O'Reilly starts, if I'm honest. Let's just see. Let's just see. All right, that's the deadline, guys. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it did seem like we had Haaland news with the Rob T thing, so oh well. It do be like that sometimes, right? I should have quickly tweet my little lineup, just so people don't get upset at me about how, not sharing my team like with leaks and stuff like that. Well, at least I was on stream this time, so I'm glad to be a part of a non-Walker Gate event. That's very good for my mental health. But yeah, that's it. I'm probably gonna log off soon because I'm not feeling great. But thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah. God, Foden's been such a pain. Man, that's a crazy deadline though. I'm pretty glad I was streaming here. I mean, it's too late though in terms of if you're asking for captaincy. I would have definitely done Thiago. Spaceman free hit. Wait, for real? Wait, let me see. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Wow. Okay. That's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not in love with it, if I'm honest, but I don't mind it. I do hope Ernie scores, though, if I'm being honest. No, some people say a free hit, which makes sense. Thiago is going to be terrifying EO. Oh, because of captaincy? Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna have to hope Saka's better. Unlikely, but you know. Okay, well that's it. So manual captain I think is wonderful. The holiday info is definitely not bait. I mean, I would be shocked if that ended up being wrong, right? Like if Haaland and Foden actually, I can see Foden being benched regardless. I think Haaland being benched is the shocker. O'Reilly, I don't think is benched, but he could be benched. Like we know that, anyways. It is what it is. Like I'm kind of happy with the team that I lined up, anyways, as it stands. Oh, I just saw Harry did Saka captain as well. Interesting. I'm kind of surprised he didn't consider Thiago captain, since he kind of bought Thiago for this fixture. No, captain Palmer last second. That's pretty good. Thank God you watched. Why am I not selling Foden? I plan to sell Foden for Palmer when I have 2 free transfers. So I'm on 1 free transfer this week. I personally want to go Foden to Palmer. I personally want to go O'Reilly to Goodmanson. So that's kind of why I held off on a transfer. And I can tank this Foden price drop, so it doesn't really matter to me. If that is important to you. Words captain. That's pretty fun. I'm just trying to see what everyone's done in terms of the moves because it's kind of interesting. Like on a week like this, right? I mean, I'm trying to think about. Yeah, I just don't think Semenyo is like a good enough long term move for myself. Say I don't go for like okay, if I can go for Palmer, I think that's the best move in my case. But if I can't, then I can still go Mbumo, whom I really like. You know, and unfortunately, this is the week where like everyone just does have a mediocre fixture. You would just settle for a few subscribers. You panicked in Captain Rice. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. At least it's better than having Holland, right? I guess. Um, in panic, you went Gabriel captain. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I didn't really want to deal with Holland coming off the bench and going crazy, so I just kept him in my starting 11. It is what it is. You know what's funny is like every time this happens, like Holland still ends up scoring and it kind of like levels out. I remember a couple seasons ago when Holland was like the first ever big bench. If you guys remember Team News and Ticks when he had Man City leaks, I went straight into KDB, sold Holland, and I swear I just went net negative because I lost free transfers to do it. You don't feel that comfortable yet. I mean, the benefit the benefit, right, of everyone doing a different captain is I think that's the like you have the beauty of the game, right? Like everyone's gone different stuff, and hopefully it works out for like some of us, right? Um, man, that was a crazy deadline though. Oof. The problem is like, yeah, if Haaland comes off the bench and scores, then I'm actually gonna cry because it's like, what is the point of skill in this game? You know, what is the point of skill in this game? That's the problem. The reason why I didn't go for someone like Mbumo, which I think makes sense in your case anyways, Kyle, is like, yeah, I kind of wanted to just leave room for a potential Palmer transfer. There's skill in this game, yeah, a small amount of skill, and then a gigantic amount of variance. There's definitely skill in this game. I wouldn't dismiss the fact that there is skill. This is probably the least amount of skill in a game that I actively play. Like, what games have I played that actually have skill? StarCraft 2 had skill. I think even League of Legends, which is a game that I kind of hate, but I did play for a long time in my life, has skill. CS:GO, Valorant, those games have skill, generally speaking. No, I mean, most of the skill in this game is just like getting your minutes right, right? That's pretty much it. And then just kind of, being cognizant of the fixture schedule in the double game week part of the season. No, I think it definitely has less skill level than poker. I didn't play WoW. I played RuneScape mostly. I actually still play old school RuneScape on the side. Yeah, so for example, like there's elements of like WoW PvP and PVM, like similar to old school RuneScape, where there's definitely probably more skill in that, OSRS is Torvesta actually watches this channel, by the way. Torvesta, can we really call him the PvP goat? But yeah. Fran, be honest, I have Saka and Thiago. Everyone captain Saka. I captain Thiago. I trusted you alone. Why would you be cooked, bro? I'm shocked that people who own Thiago captain Saka, if I'm being honest. Good luck to you, Doctor. Nice to see you around, my friend. Way less skilled than poker is sort of my... The problem is like anyone who kind of understands expected value in poker and obviously plays poker at a top level is just naturally has a much stronger advantage. I don't know if O'Reilly's bench, by the way. No clue. Couldn't tell you. The first game is not City, right? So we just won't know. But yeah, like with that already, like you're armed to win most of your games, really. I'd say, like, if you just play with high repetition. Yeah, I mean, variance can kind of hit you, but then I think it's a bit more controlled. I guess also, to be fair, poker's a bit different because you have more volume, generally speaking. But I do think Thiago's a better captain than Saka. Yeah, I do think so. If I don't get a red arrow this week, it'll be a miracle. Yeah, I think poker has slightly less variance. Exactly, yeah. Because everyone kind of knows the metagame, and it's like... And to be fair, I think it, like, with poker too, like, a high-level player could smash a low-level player anyways, because it's like... You still know the gaps in their sort of level of play, in terms of, like, what they're willing to bluff and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, in terms of winning, it's random, right? But, like, so is winning an FPL, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's more like, how often does a top-level player have a top-level finish? Roundabout, But then, yeah, I guess, like, if I was to compare it to online poker, you just play more hands, so that's a bit different as well. Pep just wanted to troll those in 5 City. I mean, like, what if Haaland actually starts, right? Wouldn't that be funny? You really think Thiago's a better captain? Just about. I mean, like, it's not controversial to me to say Thiago's a better captain than Saka, right? Surely not. All right, I've got to manage my other teams now. Oh God, sorry, I should not be showing this. I'm really sorry. For anyone who's seeing this. Yeah, sorry, that is a different fantasy game mode, which I will be managing right now. But yeah. What should I share instead? Probably my Twitter page, right? All right, let me just resize that to... You guys wildcarded? My goodness. Wait, this actually makes... To be fair, he actually shared that with us. So he actually shared Nico O Foden, Nico O Holland. That's so funny. So that's N-O Foden, N-O Holland. That's jokes. Wow, we really cooked there. Yeah, I saw JC use the free hit chip. I'm not really sure Marmoush makes sense as a captain personally because I think Marmoush can get hooked early. So I actually think it's kind of, to me, that captaincy doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're 100% certain Holland's out of the lineup. I mean, I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. I just think that Marmoush is the type of player. Let's say it's not working for City at 45 minutes. Like, what would stop Marmoush from getting subbed at 45 minutes? Is the full City team leaked or just Holland Foden news? Just Holland and Foden news. Removed Holland a few weeks ago. Hey, you're a psychopath, but fair play. I respect that. Who would be on pens for City? Yeah, definitely Marmoush. Well, it's a good question, to be fair, because Marmoush did miss his last penalty. Man, that's a good question. I don't. Maybe Semenyo could take. He went from rolling and Holland captain to wildcard and Thiago captain in the span of 40 seconds. Nice. Thank you, Omar. It generates some more skill expression. Good luck, all. Yeah, I think. Look, unfortunately, being around in the deadline is actually very important. Yeah, I think there's a huge chance for City players to come in 45 minutes. 100%. Like, look at last week when Foden started. You know, immediately hooked at 45 minutes. Like, there's no guarantee that City will play well. They've been abysmal, you know? And if, you know, Pep was so sort of like aware of like how to fix his team, like, you know, I think we would have seen better results recently. Just saying. Captain Semenyo instead of Holland, that makes sense. I can see the vision for that. All right, so that's I'm gonna manage some of my other teams in the moment, but I will try to interact with chat whilst I manage some of my fan teams, Bet365 teams. That's not an endorsement for that, by the way. Don't hold me to that. Okay, so I need to captain. Goodness gracious, who do I even captain here? Could I go Salah? I kind of think Bowen captain's the best in fan team. Unironically speaking. The issue is if Semenyo starts, he's going to get hooked by 70 minutes. Why would he get hooked by 70 minutes? What do you mean by that? Sorry. I think surely Cherky just gets hooked earlier, right? You don't even know if Doku's in the lineup, so Doku might not even be guaranteed to start. Did you agree with the Alonso sacking? I don't. I don't like it, but you know what? The players have controlled our club, so what can you do? What can you do? It is a bit sad, if I'm honest. Like, I really don't like what we've done, but yeah. You can't guarantee Doku starts because you know, Doku wasn't fit for Bodo Glimt. But I think he probably does start. Because it's kind of hard to believe that Haaland is benched. Wait, is Sunderland the first game? Wait, Granit Xhaka's out of the lineup. What's going on here? Okay, let me just read out the lineups today for you guys. So Sunderland is Rose, Mukiele, Ballard, Alderete, Reynoldo, Hume, Sadiki, Lafay, Mundell, Mayenda, Brobby. Oh god, that's gonna be Lafay in the midfield. A little bit boring. Oh, that's painful. All right, let's go to West Ham now, which is the other team. You've got Bowen, Tati, Somerville, Pablo, Fernandes, Socek, Scarles, Mavropanos, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka, Areola. I mean, surely Shaka's not left out though, right? Defcon for Lafay. I just go on the clubs and their tweets. The thing is, Semenyo can play both wings, right? Semenyo can easily play 90 minutes, in my opinion. I think Semenyo will play 90 minutes. Because you also have to think about how City is going to manage their minutes for the Champions League fixture, right? So if you actually want players rested and fit for the Champions League match versus Galatasaray, actually Semenyo is going to play 90 minutes. I can't see how Semenyo's hooked at 70 minutes. Yeah, Xhaka's not on the bench, so he's not left out. Oh, you mean left out like in terms of the squad? Sorry. I thought you meant like left out from the starting lineup. That was just misinterpretation of me just being stupid. God, am I really gonna go Bruno Fernandes on fan team? That's disgusting, but fine, I'll do it. I'll do it because I have to, because I'm the Dark Knight. Okay, so that's done. Would you guys want to see me manage my fan team teams? Is that something that would interest you? I'm not trying to endorse gambling here, just because it's something that I would be doing anyways, since I am doing it. Alrighty, well the people have spoken. Well, I guess you guys all know what fan team is, right? But yeah, effectively, it's obviously just another fantasy game. Obviously, Bowen's a midfielder in this game mode, so he's gonna be my captain. I can't even guarantee Mateta's good minutes. Defenders are a lot weaker in this game because there's no Defcon as well. Saka could be a decent vice cap, I'd say. Probably better than Holland. Semenyo is actually fantastic, to be fair. Like, maybe something I need to think about, actually, is if I've got Semenyo as some teams, is he a better captain? I think he actually might be a better captain, yeah. Maybe I'd go Semenyo in this. Vice captain Bowen. And I think we're done here. So that's it for this team. Mateta benching is sad, but it's like, okay, Mateta over Haaland, is that the play? Like, can I even guarantee that Mateta's going to start? Because he's also like, what, this transfer request nonsense? I mean, Mateta would probably just play a farewell game as a starter, right? I mean, there's no way. Would you play Mateta over Haaland? Just generally speaking. Anderson would be ahead of Truffet, but that's about it. Buying Bruno for Arsenal away is so painful. You'd leave Haaland way too risky if he does something off the bench. Yeah, because it's a lot of like inexperienced managers who'd probably still have Haaland. So I just like, am I hedging against that? I guess I am. At the same time, do I have anything to lose? So this is basically what, Haaland 45 minutes versus Mateta. I'm willing to take on the risk though, I think. But it's like, you know, I probably would take on that risk. as they say, YOLO. Right. This is another team that I have. So that's Foden. I've basically just been taking Foden out of my team. And I think taking Foden out for Bruno is totally justifiable in every case. However, there's also a world where I just go Sade, but I just think going Bruno makes the most sense. Because in this game, you actually get rewarded for, if a player hits 90 minutes, you actually get +1 point. So I think, even though Bruno is so mediocre in this context, I can't go Palmer within the team that I have. So, I think just locking in Bruno is justifiable to me. We captain Semenyo again and then just do that. Play Mateta over Holland. Lineup looks fine. We're missing a Vice. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, okay, so those are my teams there. And then I've got other entries to fix. So I think I've managed most of these teams here. Yeah, so I've got 2 entries that are doing quite good. Hopefully, can you guys see? Yeah, I guess you guys can see that. This team I've made transfers for. This is one of my dead teams, which I've already made. Oh, I haven't made transfers for this team. So that's just Fernand's. Palmer captain, I don't think is great because it's Crystal Palace away, so it's kind of just mediocre. God, this team doesn't even have Bowen. This is so painful. Maybe this team actually needs to go Bowen instead, just so I actually have a good captain. And then like someone else can be Bruno in the future is probably the way that I see it. I don't even have a good sub for Holland, so I think Holland just has to stay in this team. Vice captain Saka. Yeah, I think that's probably how I would play that. And then 1 sec. I've got 3-6-5 teams as well. Was Palmer captain good? I think it's okay. I mean, it really depends, like, if you think his minutes will be perfect as well, right? Which probably they will be. But then from what I understand, like, Chelsea also kind of need to go full strength with Champions League. Am I wrong? I mean, I could be wrong. I guess going Palmer over Bruno is quite logical. Oh no, I can't even afford it. That's so depressing. Fine. Yeah, unfortunately, locking in Bruno in all my teams is something I just like naturally have to do across the board. It's like such a poor play, but then obviously it's gonna work out long term. So like, can I really complain too much? Maybe not. I tend to like just set up like the optimal team that I have like as soon as possible, earlier in the week. So this way, like when I'm actually making transfers late, which I am doing in this case, it doesn't really impact me too much. So yeah, like all I've had to do is just like sell Foden, and then all right. So that's kind of most of my teams done. Then I think. I'm quite excited to be honest for a Foden, for not having Foden, to be honest. I might go Bow in one of my teams and just captain him. I've still got Ekitika, ironically, in some of my teams. Huh, hopefully that works out. Ooh, I've got scope to go Timber in one of my teams, so I'll probably do that as well. Or maybe I'll just go Saliba. I think Van Heck to Saliba makes sense. Or maybe Trufe out makes sense, but then, I don't know, I don't really like, let's go Saliba on this team. Cool. Alright, I'm done now. Might just share Twitter now again. But I think that's actually it for me in terms of the stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm just going to quickly read chat messages. FPL, has it updated actually? Is a good question. Nope. How does it take for, how does it take an, I don't know what fan team is. Yeah, I kind of explained what it is, but I don't really want to endorse it. Semenyo Cat for sure. You'd leave Haaland way too risky. Yep, agree. Take care, everyone. Yep, I'll see you guys soon. And hopefully I feel better next week and we're all good. Peace.